So we're going to tell you about the University of Alabama today. And as you can see, our tagline is where legends are made. So we're going to really sort of explain where that comes from as we go through this. Now, when we're talking about the University of Alabama, we do like to tell folks why they should consider the University of Alabama. And we've really tried to distill it down to 6 main points that we're going to try and touch upon in this presentation. So number 1, many of the students want to experience that classic US university experience. The University of Alabama really does encapsulate that experience. Beautiful big campus, everything really a student would expect. We want the students to be able to join our legendary network of graduates. Again, I'm using that term legends. We're producing legends as our students graduate. We've got amazing graduates, well known in fields such as engineering, business, etc. Thirdly, if a student comes to the University of Alabama, they're going to earn a degree that is recognized globally. This is not just a degree that's going to get you a job locally. This is a degree that's going to get you a job anywhere in the world. 4th point, we have beautiful facilities, especially when it comes to engineering and STEM facilities in general. Our facilities are some of the top facilities in the world. Now, for the 5th point, we'll move a little bit outside of academics and talk about athletics. The University of Alabama is one of the top athletic schools in the US, if not in the world. And so we provide more than those academics. And last but not least, we'll talk a little bit about Southern hospitality. The Southeast of the US is really known for being a very friendly, warm, welcoming area. So we'll touch on each of these as we go through.
The slide that you should see now is just a brief snapshot of to give you a sense of the scope of our campus and really a little bit about what it's like. We were founded in 1831, so we are coming up on 200 years soon in education. We are considered the flagship institution in the state of Alabama. We are that large, major, comprehensive research institution. We are a Carnegie R1 university. I'll talk about that in just a minute. This fall, our enrollment was just shy of 38,000 students. And when your students come to Alabama, they'll meet people from all over the US, all 50 US states are represented, as well as 77 different countries. So we are a diverse campus, very large, and your students will make connections with great faculty, staff, and students from all over. As you can see, we have a lot of faculty and staff on our campus to support that almost 38,000 student group. So a lot of support services go on inside and outside of the classroom to create a really safe and conducive learning environment for your students. Lots of degree programs, over 350 when you consider undergraduate and graduate. We could find something for your students to study. We're set on about 1,300 acres, right in the heart of the city of Tuscaloosa, which we will talk about in just a little bit as well. But campus, as Andy mentioned, is absolutely gorgeous, especially this time of the year with it being springtime. Our students are outside enjoying the weather. It's just a beautiful place, and you'll see some photos throughout our presentation as well to give you a sense of what the campus looks like. Long tradition of academic and athletic excellence. We'll show you some pictures of some athletic facilities in just a bit as well. And we'll mention it throughout, but we do have a safe and welcoming environment. We want students to feel comfortable inside of the classroom, outside, and within our city. So we do stress that when we chat with students.
Right, so on slide 1 and slide 2, I mentioned our legendary alumni. And I want to give you a sampling of who some of our alumni are. So there are 5 people who are at least famous in the US, and some of them are pretty well known outside of the US. So I'm going to start with the gentleman in the top left, or at least in my top left. You may not have heard of him, but you may have heard of what he created. So he's an alumni of our Finance MS program, and he produced a resource called Wikipedia. So if you're ever familiar with Wikipedia, so Jimmy Wales is someone who comes to our campus, meets with students, very well known. Bottom left-hand side is a gentleman by the name of Winston Groom. Sorry, I blanked on that for a moment. So Alabama has a strong tradition of producing literary greats, people who've written the great novels. I give him as an example because his novel is sort of in popular culture as well. He created a very famous book called Forrest Gump, and which was turned into a movie. In terms of authors, we also have the author Harper Lee, who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, who is one of our alumni. So we've got that strong tradition. Stepping out of that area and into the business fields, the lady in the center is Vicki Holub. Vicki Holub is CEO of Occidental Petroleum, which is one of the largest independent oil companies. So she is one of our graduates. Top right-hand side is Marilyn Hewson. Marilyn Hewson was voted, I think, last year or the year before, the top CEO in the country. She was until very recently the CEO of Lockheed Martin, which is one of the largest defense contractors in the world. They build rockets, they build fighter jets, they build Navy ships, they build satellites. So, it's a huge company. Bottom right-hand side is someone who is not necessarily a household name, but she really made a name for herself as the chief engineer of Google. So her name is Nan Bowden. She is the person who has been responsible for building out all of the Google data centers that are all over the world. So she's actually a wonderful lady. I actually know her personally. I've had lunch with her on campus. Brilliant person. And all of these people want to contribute to our campus. These are all people who participate, who meet with our students, who come to campus. I've worked at a number of universities, and I can easily say that the University of Alabama alumni are some of the most passionate alumni that I have ever met. These people love the University of Alabama, and they want to give back to our students. Now, we also mentioned earning a degree that is globally recognized. And to really reinforce that, I want to give you some examples of the sorts of companies where our students go and work. So you'll recognize most of these logos. So the Apple, the Google, the Microsoft, Boeing. PwC might not be so well known. That's PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is one of the largest financial companies in the world, which, by the way, their CEO is also one of our alumni. I'll give you a couple of examples of collaborations. Mercedes-Benz is a very important collaboration with the University of Alabama. A lot of our students go and work for Mercedes. The Mercedes-Benz North American manufacturing plant is actually about 15 miles, about 22, 23 kilometers from where I am right now. So it's very close to campus. Our College of Business and College of Engineering work very closely with that company. And until, the person who was the past CEO of Mercedes North America, actually we hired him. He's one of our faculty now. I do want to talk about NASA because that is actually really cool. When you think of NASA, you often think of Florida, where they launched the rockets, or Houston, where the space control. But Alabama is where they build the rockets. It's where a lot of the research is done. It's where a lot of the astronaut training is done. And so the Marshall Space Flight Center is about an hour and a half, 2 hours or so, I guess, from us. And so that's an amazing facility. Lots of our faculty collaborate with NASA on projects. So there's lots going on there. Now, the head of NASA astronaut training used to be based in Alabama, in Huntsville, Alabama. We've actually recently hired him as faculty as well. So it also gives you a sense of the caliber of faculty we have. And really, our students go and work for them. Some of their people come and work for us as well. So it goes both ways.
I want to share with you just a few of the rankings that we enjoy on our campus and that our students really benefit from as well. We know that's something that your students may be interested in knowing. And this is one that we are very proud of. We are number 2 in the US for internship opportunities. And this is according to Princeton Review. Last year we were number 10. This year we're number 2, and we're hoping for number 1. We will see how that goes. But as Andy mentioned, with some of those companies that were on the previous slide, those are some places that our students have either interned or worked. And our students get great opportunities at the department level within their program. They get a lot of preparation and great connections from faculty members as well. You know, with someone coming over from Mercedes and NASA, you know, those are just built-in connections for students there. So we are well connected, and we believe our students start out that legendary experience even as an undergraduate or a graduate student with a valuable and a meaningful internship experience. We also rank, we're an R1 research institution from the Carnegie Foundation. And this is something that helps us to attract extremely high caliber faculty members. We know a lot of faculty members won't even consider a faculty role at a campus unless they're at an R1. So your students will be learning from the best of the best. And it's a great benefit to students with that as well. It's the highest ranking that a university can achieve. And then here's just a list of some of our other programs that have received rankings. As you can see, we have top 5 within engineering. We'll talk a little bit about that in just a bit. We do have the #1 public relations program in the US. So if you have students interested in those kinds of areas, we're a great fit for them. As well as high achievements within business, finance, economics, accounting, great law school ranking as well. And this is just a short list, all we can fit on one slide and for the sake of time, but we have a lot of great rankings to back up the quality of our programs.
All right, so we'd mentioned that we have world-class science and engineering facilities. So this is an aerial view of a small portion of our campus. Our campus is huge. But this is the area of the campus that focuses on science and engineering. The buildings that you can see in the center of this aerial photo are all fairly new. They're all less than about 10 to 15 years old, and some of them are only about 5 or 6 years old. But this represents a huge investment that the University of Alabama has made in our science, technology, engineering, and math facilities. The buildings in this photo have just beautiful state-of-the-art facilities. I'll give you a couple of examples. We have in one of these buildings what is called an Orga Microprobe Lab. This is a highly specialized analytical instrument that is used for material science analysis. It is capable of peeling atoms off a surface one at a time. There's probably only 2 or 3 of these in the US, and not many more than that in the rest of the world. And so people come from all over the US, all over the world to use our facility to make use of that instrument. Also, we have an amazing seismic engineering lab. So we have a lab where you can build you can build small buildings, you can build small bridges, and then you can test them as if you're simulating an earthquake. And so in there, we're doing a lot of work on novel construction techniques that are earthquake resistant. And that's even led to some collaborations with NASA, which seems a little strange for earthquake research. But the sort of techniques that we use for making a building earthquake resistant are the sorts of techniques that you also use to stop a rocket vibrating in midair. And so, you know, that's an example of the sort of novel research techniques, just really taking an opportunity to combine those two, what look like separate fields.
Sorry, Andrew, we have a question that came through on chat. So could I interrupt?
Absolutely.
Great. So this is from Young Hee Park, who is one of our South Korean agencies. Does your university have something to do with Hyundai or Kia Motor Company? If so, Korean students would be very interested.
So I don't know about Kia, but we do have a lot to do with Hyundai because Hyundai has a large manufacturing facility in Alabama. I think it's in Montgomery, isn't that correct, Shelley?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So there's actually a lot of Korean industry in Alabama, largely sort of centered around Hyundai. And I'm sure if Hyundai's there must be a Kia facility as well. Yeah. So yes, definitely a Korean connection there. Good question.
So at the opposite end of the campus from the science and engineering quad is some of our athletic complexes. And the photo that you can see on your screen here is our American football stadium, Bryant-Denny Stadium. It's one of the 10 largest in the world. It can seat just over 100,000 cheering football fans in a non-COVID year. This year it was a little bit limited due to that, but we're hoping to be back in the fall with capacity. We are happy to say that we did win a national championship in football this year, our 18th in that. So 18 of our 27 national championships do come in American football. But other than football, we do have about 15 other sports that your students can either participate in or go and spectate. And our athletes have good experiences on and off of the field, academically and athletically. And this adds a lot of great pride for students. We also have events surrounding our athletic programs, such as for football, we have something called tailgating, where individuals will set up little communities, almost like communities with tents and things like that across the road from our stadium. And they will gather before, during, and after games just to share food and fun. And so that is a big draw for the community as well as for our students. But athletics does add a lot of great pride, and we are becoming more and more well known for our athletic facilities as well. And I think I saw a question about sports scholarships. We do have some international students that are on athletic scholarships. Those are very competitive and are all arranged through the Department of Athletics. But if you do have a student interested in athletics, we can connect them with someone in the athletic department. For example, this year, our men's basketball team is also doing very well, and they've made it they're one of the top 16 programs in the country, and we have 3 international students on the basketball team this year. So there are some on some of our teams, and we can get them connected with athletics if they are interested in that.
And if they come and they're on one of our teams, that bodes very well for their future.
It does. Very well.
Yes. It can be very lucrative.
Yes. So we also like to talk about where we are. We want to share information about our campus, but we also think it's important to talk about the region where we are, as well as the city. So in front of you, you can see a map of the US, and Alabama is highlighted there in red. We are in the American Southeast, well known for our Southern hospitality and our friendly nature. It's not unusual for people to speak to one another when they see each other on the sidewalk and just say, hey, how are you? And our campus as such is a very welcoming and safe place for your students. We are located in the city of Tuscaloosa, which is something we'll talk about in just a moment as well. But we are located as well by car, about 3 to 5 hours from several of the cities that you can see on the screen, such as Atlanta, Georgia, Nashville, Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee, and New Orleans, Louisiana. So some larger major metropolitan areas that you may be familiar with there. We are an easy campus to arrive to. We have a large airport that is about 50 minutes from our campus in the city of Birmingham. And so that is where most of our students will fly into and then make their way to the Tuscaloosa campus when they arrive. But Tuscaloosa is an excellent city and a great college town.
All right, so a little bit more about Tuscaloosa. In terms of size, we have a metro population of about 235,000. One of the reasons I love Tuscaloosa is the weather. So the winters are very mild. Although we did have snow this year, which was rather unusual, summers can get hot, 33 degrees. We can easily reach 40 degrees C in the summer. Winters, we probably average around 10 to 15 degrees C. Right now outside, it's about 21 degrees C. It's getting late evening. It got up to about 26 degrees C. So we're firmly in spring now, and we're probably not going to see much below 25, 30 degrees C until October, November. So yeah, summers are warm. In terms of on and off campus housing, there's a lot of it. All of our first year bachelor's students would live on campus, and the facilities are amazing. Far nicer than when I was in my residence hall as an undergraduate, I tell you. Off campus, the housing, much of it is very, very close to campus. A lot of the big housing complexes are within walking distance to campus. And if they're not, there's actually shuttle buses which go out to the housing complexes. Around campus, it's actually quite walkable. I live within about a 10-minute walk of campus. So I actually walk most places. I really don't use my car that much at all. So, there's a supermarket right on the edge of campus. So, it is possible as a student to live without a car, which is not a common thing in the US. In general, it's a low cost of living. So the Southeast, rent is going to be fairly low. Cost of food is going to be fairly low. Certainly much, much cheaper than sort of the coastal areas like New York or California. And again, we can't emphasize this enough. It's a very safe and welcoming environment. Often, one of the big problems we have with our international students is often they're a little disturbed by how friendly people are. People will come up and say hi to them. And if you've grown up in a big city, you're not used to that. People don't talk to you, but people here will just come up and talk to you. And so, we tell them, look, it's okay. They are just being friendly. So yeah, we have to, our students have to adapt to that.
We'll transition here in the second half of our chat with you today to talk a little bit about the admissions process for both undergraduate and graduate. But want to share with you first, again, of our 350 plus programs, these are the top 10 that our international students specifically choose to study. Again, they're open to all 350, but these do comprise the top 10. As you can see, engineering is very high on the list. No surprise there with the awesome facilities that we have and the excellent faculty there. We were actually one of the first 5 institutions in the US to offer some sort of an engineering program. So we've been doing that for a very long time and are excellent at it. Also on the list, the English Language Institute, which we'll talk about at the end. We do have one of those that is a part of our campus. that is staffed by faculty and staff that are UA employees. And you can also see there some other science areas and finance sort of round out that list. And I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about undergraduate admissions. Again, I'm the person that is your point of contact there. I'm happy to help you through the process with your students. Everything undergraduate related comes through my department. I have a team of 4 individuals, and we work with students from their point of interest in the University of Alabama up through their admission there. So we're with students all along the way, checking in with them and helping to move them to the next step and helping them to make their decisions. The admissions process is online. There's no paper that's required to be sent in. Everything is submitted right through their website. There's a $40 application due at the point of admission. And decisions, once we get everything in, take only 1 to 2 business days. We admit a few times during the week. So students will hear from us quickly once they get everything in. We make all of the undergraduate decisions for all of the programs. So it's all centralized there. One thing that I think your students will like is that we do have an automatic merit-based scholarship structure that's based on test score and grade point average for your students. And that happens within 1 to 2 weeks of them being accepted. To be admitted to Alabama, we're looking for a 2.75 on a scale of 4 grade point average. We will do the conversion of transcripts for you and your students. There's no need to have those sent to a credential agency. We can do that within our team. We just need a copy of the transcript. We do not require ACT or SAT for admission, but we can consider it for scholarships. And we accept any variety of English proficiency exam. You can see there we have several options there listed for you and your students that they can take that can meet proficiency requirements at UA. All right, and I'll talk about scholarships next. So we have 2 different scholarship structures. I'll go over those quickly with you. This is the automatic structure that's based on test score and grade point average. If a student submit an ACT or SAT score to us and they've submitted their transcript, once that admissions decision is made, they'll automatically be considered for one of these awards if they fall within the structure. There's no scholarship application that's required for these. These, again, will be awarded within 1 to 2 weeks of being accepted. The values range from $6,000 up to possibly full tuition for students that have a 36 ACT or 1600 SAT. Students are often surprised when they receive a notice like this, but it is something, we make the assumption that a student is interested in one of these awards, so we go ahead and do that rather quickly after admission. Deadline for that every year is March 1. In light of COVID, we did set up a second structure that I'll talk about that is only based on grade point average. This does require a scholarship application to be on file. And these awards are somewhat limited, so that they're not a guarantee like the other slides were. I was happy to say that we were able to award quite a few international students with one of these competitive scholarships. Dollar-wise, they are comparable to what's on the automatic award grid there as well. And the scholarships for 2021 and 2022, we're sort of looking at things case by case. If you have a student, please let me know. Most of the money has been awarded since the March 1 deadline has passed, but we might be able to do something for students if you have one there. Thanks for the question.
Shirley, I have a question. Can you come back to the last page about scholarship? It's about the deadline for the undergrad. Yeah, like this one for 15 January and the another one like
March 1st.
March. So I just have a question, like what did you consider like for the next academic year, you might send it to maybe April or so, because especially for international students, we're not sure they can really meet the deadline, and if they really want to go to University of Alabama and they want to apply for a big scholarship, it may be like something to, hesitate them to apply because they know they already passed the deadline?
Yeah, we are considering students sort of on a case by case right now. And in fact, we most likely can go with the automatic structure, which was that first slide. We can probably go until May 1st on that one. But really no later. And that May 1 is sort of a national, in the US, sort of a national day of intent to where you're going to school, typically in August. So May 1 is what I've been told is as far as we can go. But again, that is still sort of a case by case. So I would say if students, if someone has a student that is interested, to let me know and we can see what the possibilities might be.
Yeah, can you go back to the automatic scholarship table that Erin can? Yeah. So this one you say you might able to extend
possibly May 1.
May, right, to May, right? Yeah, but not the next slide.
Yeah, the competitive ones are have all been awarded at this point.
Okay, let's see. Okay. Yeah.
Thanks for the question.
Sorry if I missed something, but going back to that slide again.
Which one? This one?
This one, yes. So there's a GPA there, but what about the test score? So does the student have to have ACT or SAT? They have to have one of them.
They have to have one of them. Yeah, we'll accept either one.
Okay.
Either test score. They have to have a test score and a GPA. Right, but it doesn't matter what test they take.
GPA, and they must have ACT or SAT. Right.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So let me move quickly on to graduate admissions. We do have an application fee of $80. We will waive this on a case-by-case basis if you have a well-qualified student. With the graduate applications, they're reviewed in a very different way to the undergraduate applications. They're actually reviewed in the academic departments by faculty. Now, this does mean that it's going to take a little bit longer to get responses. Typically, averages about 30 days, but some can give answers in 3 or 4 days. Some might take a month. So there's some variability there. Now, also, most programs will automatically consider applicants for any form of scholarships, fellowships, and assistantships. And about 35% of our graduate students, so master's and PhD, are supported on assistantships or fellowships. And if we just look at international students, that's going to be a much higher percentage. If a student were to get what we call an assistantship or fellowship, an assistantship is where a student would help teach classes or help in a research lab. A fellowship is where a student is really good and we are just giving them money because they're really good. This would include a 100% tuition scholarship, a stipend or salary, which is typically about $15,000 to $25,000 a year. We also provide health insurance as well. Now, it's important to keep in mind that most of this financial support is assigned by the academic departments. So it's important that students who are interested in this sort of financial support are talking to their prospective department. In terms of academic requirements, it's very similar to undergraduate. Minimum GPA is typically about the equivalent of a 3 out of 4. We will consider students with a lower GPA, though, on a case-by-case basis. For the, during the COVID era, the GRE and GMAT was waived for most of our programs. This may continue for many of our programs beyond fall 21 as well. And as I said, if students who don't quite make the GPA or test score requirements are considered for admission, typically if they've got other areas of strength. So if they've got great work experience, internship experience, research experience, etc. In terms of language requirements, TOEFL 79, IELTS of 6.5 or Duolingo of 105. If they have lower scores, we admit them conditionally, and they go and take English Language Institute classes.
So this is our English Language Institute. I mentioned earlier, we do offer that as a part of our campus. It's very flexible with multiple start dates throughout the year. I believe there are 6 of those. And depending on a student's level of proficiency, they may be in the program 1 month up to a year with that. They do have to meet traditional academic requirements at the undergrad or the grad level. And the cost for those sessions, which typically run 8 weeks each, is about $5,600. So it is a quick way for your students to gain proficiency if they do need that at the point of admission. We also do have a pathway program at UA that is for your students that have English proficiency, but it's right below the threshold that we need for admission. You can see the cutoff scores there, and students might spend 1 to 2 semesters taking those courses. The thing that's different about that, though, is that they'll take those English courses as well as start taking some undergraduate or graduate courses. So it is a mix of those to help them get their academic careers